All right, today we're going to dive into a book that has truly shaped spiritual conversations for decades now. We're talking about Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love. It's a book that basically gave millions of people a whole new way of thinking about life's biggest challenges, and we're going to break down its core ideas for you.
I mean, you've definitely heard these words before, right? They've been in movies, graduation speeches, they're all over the internet. They just tap into something so real about our own potential and that self-doubt that can hold us back. But here's the real question. Do you know who actually wrote them?
Yep, that's right. For years, pretty much everyone thought this passage came from Nelson Mandela's 1994 inaugural address. This myth got so big that Oprah Winfrey herself, who was a huge reason the book became famous, had to go on record and set things straight, confirming that those words came directly from Marianne Williamson.
So let's get into the author herself and this really foundational book. To get what she's saying, you kind of have to understand the person who wrote it and the spiritual text that inspired the whole thing.
You know, Marianne Williamson is so much more than just an author. For over 40 years, she's been a major spiritual thought leader. She founded nonprofits like Project Angel Food, which delivers meals to sick people who can't leave their homes. And yeah, she's even made a couple of runs for the presidency. Her whole life's work is really about using spiritual ideas to fix real-world problems.
When A Return to Love came out back in '92, it just exploded. And a huge part of that was thanks to Oprah. She was so moved by the book that she literally bought 1,000 copies to give away. That's what shot it to the top of the bestseller list and made it a household name.
Okay, so this is key to understanding the book. Williamson doesn't claim she wrote some new holy scripture. She describes A Return to Love as her personal notes and reflections on another text called A Course in Miracles. So you can think of her as an interpreter who took these really dense spiritual ideas and made them easy for anyone to understand and use in their daily life.
At the absolute heart of this book is one simple fundamental choice. Williamson says that every single thought we have, every action we take, comes from one of two places: fear or love. That's it. Fear is the voice of our ego. It's this illusion we've learned that keeps us feeling small and unhappy. But love, she says, that's our natural state. That's the ultimate truth of who we really are. So the whole spiritual journey is just about unlearning all that fear and coming back home to love.
So how do we actually make that journey back to love? Well, the book lays out a kind of spiritual roadmap. Williamson outlines what we can call the 5 pillars of return, and these ideas come right from her take on what miracles are all about.
So these 5 pillars are forgiveness, the holy instant, resurrection, the real world, and rebirth. Just think of them as a step-by-step guide for shifting your mind away from the ego's fear and back to a place of love. Let's take a look at each one.
All right, first up is forgiveness. And trust me, the book totally redefines it. This is not about saying what you did was okay. Not at all. Instead, it's a kind of selective remembering. It's you making a conscious choice to look past someone's mistake or their error and see the love or the innocence that's still inside them.
And this quote just perfectly captures that idea. Williamson is saying that the biggest, most profound miracles happen in that exact spot where we decide to finally replace an old grudge with love.
Next up, we have the holy instant. This is all about the incredible power of right now. See, Williamson says the ego keeps us trapped, right? We're either regretting the past or we're anxious about the future. The holy instant is that moment you just let it all go. You surrender those thoughts and you allow a miracle, which is just a shift back to love, to happen right here in the present.
The third pillar, resurrection, isn't some big historical event. Nope, it's a personal, daily awakening. Williamson actually writes, your resurrection is your awakening. It's the choice you can make in any moment to be reborn, to let go of who you thought you were and give birth to that loving, higher self inside you, free from all your past mistakes.
Pillar 4, the real world, is centered on this crucial idea. Your inner world creates your outer experience. The book argues that the world we see through the ego's fearful eyes, it's just an illusion. When we change our own mind to see through the eyes of love, we start to perceive the real world, a world that's transformed not because things outside us changed, but because we changed inside.
And finally, rebirth. This one ties everything together. It's basically putting all the other pillars into practice over and over again. It's knowing that every single moment offers you a chance to start fresh. Through the power of love, we can let go of our entire history and any part of our lives, our jobs, our relationships, our health, and just begin again.
Okay, these are some really profound, beautiful concepts.
But the real question is, how do you actually use them when you're in the middle of a real, painful situation? Let's break that down with a solid example.
One of the hardest and most universal challenges we face is healing our relationships with our parents. Williamson says you can't really get to a higher consciousness without it, so let's apply the book's principles right here. So on the left, you see that classic thought from the ego. It's based on a grievance, a story of something you didn't get, and it keeps you stuck in anger and blame. But now, look to the right. That's the love-based response. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen, it's about shifting your perception to see it differently. Recognizing your father's own humanity, his own pain, and choosing peace for yourself.
The book offers this as a super practical tool, almost like a prayer or a mantra you can use. Surrendering here doesn't mean giving up or losing. It's an active request to have your own fear-based view replaced with a divine, loving one. You're literally asking for help to see the innocence behind the mistake.
So, we've walked through the author, the core ideas, the 5 pillars, and a practical application. Now, the journey shifts from us explaining it to you living it.
The real transformation, like the book says, is an inside job. So the absolute best way to understand these concepts is to actually engage with them yourself. Our challenge to you is simple. Pick up a copy of A Return to Love and just explore these ideas on your own terms.
And let's end with this thought from Deepak Chopra's review of the book, which just perfectly nails the central message. The love Williamson is talking about isn't just a mushy feeling. It's presented as the fundamental, organizing truth of the entire universe. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question. What would change in our lives and in our world if we truly chose to believe that?